Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PSP emulation with arguably the best PSP emulator out there, and that's PPSSPP. So in a previous video, we talked about version 1.19 that just released. And now we've got 1.19.1. It's worth noting that version 1.19.1 is really just a bug fix update, but there are some overall changes to PPSSPP you may want to know about. They say here from now on, major releases will be yearly instead of twice a year. Due to the additional platforms supported, the release process is longer and more complicated than ever, so it doesn't make sense to do it too often. The plan is to make a new major release every spring, probably March or April. Additionally here, for Android, if you've got a very old device, this may impact you, but I'm assuming it's not going to impact many people at all. PPSSPP will be dropping earlier versions of Android due to Android requirements. And they're still supporting versions 4.3 onwards, and they say here, and I agree with them, that is still very, very old. If you're on an earlier version of Android, let me know in the comments below. They say here that it's possible that they also may end up dropping support for iOS 12, setting 13 as the new minimum, but they're not certain of that yet. And the last thing here, but not a part of this release, in new releases moving forward, they say that in the next release, the Windows ARM64 release will be considered officially supported. They say that doesn't make much difference as it already works very well, but still, I think that's pretty exciting. Overall, we're seeing a lot more ARM processors out there, a lot more ARM laptops, and I think ARM is going to continue to be adopted and maybe the way of the future. Who knows? And speaking about new releases, next up here we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Ryubing. And Ryubing just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 1.3.2 is the latest update of Ryubing. And this update has a bunch of bug fixes, optimizations, improvements, and new stuff. It fixes long hangs and occasional crashes when booting larger games, like Tears of the Kingdom. They've added a display for total playtime next to game count. On the CPU side of things, they've increased the maximum percentage of turbo mode to 1000. That is a whole lot of turbo. On the GPU side of things, there's improvements here to Vulkan. They've fixed the green screen video decoding issues on Linux and even more. I would say this is a pretty big update for Ryubing. And speaking about Nintendo Switch stuff, next up we're going up one generation and talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now we've been talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 quite a bit lately. There's a lot of news out there about it. And today, well, we're talking about it again here in terms of sales. So this is being reported over on Insider Gaming. And like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Anyways, here it says, Nintendo Switch 2 breaking all console sales records in history, it's claimed. It's worth noting here, these numbers are not officially confirmed yet. They're, I wouldn't say rumor, but they are being reported by independent people, and I've got no idea on credibility of those sources. We're going to have to wait and see. Anyways, here, they're saying they've heard from 3 independent people that Nintendo has globally shifted over 3 million Switch 2 units. That is a heck of a lot. I mean, for reference here, they're saying over a 24-hour launch, the previous record was held by the PS4, which sold just over 1 million units worldwide. And the 2-month total record is around 4.5 million units held by PS5 and PS4. Surprised there are that many PS5s available. Anyways, here, Nintendo is on pace to beat that in less than a week. And they say sales of this magnitude have literally never been seen in console history. Not gonna lie here, I'm very surprised to see these numbers, and I'm very curious to see if momentum continues for Nintendo. It seems like this was a very successful launch. For reference, I do not have a Nintendo Switch 2. I haven't picked one up. I don't really need one just yet. I haven't seen anything that has really drawn me to this system. And well, there's a number of different reasons why I haven't picked up a Switch 2. I'm kind of waiting maybe for a revision or maybe buying one used and going down that route. And there's no real new Zelda on the system to really draw me into it. If you own a Switch 2, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And if you plan on picking one up, let me know when. And if you don't plan on picking one up, let me know why. And continuing to talk about the Switch 2, next up we're talking about hardware revisions, possible hardware revisions, maybe. I mean, in a previous video, we talked about the potential joystick issues and the possible design issue with that joystick. Anyways, here we're talking about something a little bit different here, and that is pinching your hands and the Joy-Con when it connects to the system. Now, I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. People are complaining about the Joy-Cons pinching their skin when they snap it to the system. And there's some photo evidence for proof. I would say this seems to be relatively a non-issue. Just don't stick your fingers in there when you're connecting it. But at the same time here, it seems there's a lot of people reporting this. But I don't know. Let me know your thoughts about this one. Is this an issue? Is this a non-issue? I'm not defending Nintendo, but I don't see this as being a big issue or a huge problem. I don't know here. Maybe it is. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes overall. And continuing to talk about the Switch 2, next up we're talking about a brand new open source project for the Switch 2 that I think is pretty cool. And it may have some further applications outside of the Switch 2. Anyways, it's called NVNT's SDEX2M2 MicroSD Express to M2 adapter project. This one is open source and it's up on GitHub. So the adapter essentially lets you use an NVMe drive instead of that MicroSD card, and that may be a picture of the adapter. Taking a look, I would be very cautious about using that in the Switch 2 unless the Switch 2 is docked, because I could see that completely snapping off extremely easy. Let me know your thoughts about this project and if it's something you'd be interested in or something you'd be scared about using or something maybe you hope gets designed a little bit differently. I'm hoping here they changed the design a little bit to help prevent breakage. And continuing to talk about Nintendo stuff, next up we're talking about the live-action Zelda movie. And if you were looking forward to this one, it has been delayed, but not really by a whole lot here. So here's the tweet right from Nintendo. This is Miyamoto. For production reasons, we are changing the release date of the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda to May 7th, 2027. I believe it was March 2027 before, so a couple of months. So overall here, I don't want to say that this is a nothing burger, but really it's just a few weeks delay. It's not really a whole lot, and it's still not going to be happening for another couple of years. Anyways, they say it will be some weeks later than the release timing we originally announced, and we will take the extra time to make the film as good as it can be. Thank you for your patience. I mean, I'm not impatient about that. Maybe other people are. And next up, this is just a friendly heads up here, and yes, more Switch news. And I think it's the last piece of news about the Switch 2 for this video. I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see as to what comes up. So anyways, here, this is from Team YouTube. We're working with Nintendo to make YouTube available on the Switch 2 soon. So right now, YouTube is not available on the Switch 2, and I've seen a lot of people point that out and saying the Switch 2 should have had YouTube on it from the get-go. I never used YouTube on my original Switch, but I'm assuming there were a number of people who did. I don't know here. Maybe I'm in the minority there. I used my Switch for games, and really that's it, not additional capabilities. But I'm guessing if the Switch is kind of your world, then you want everything you want on it. I mean, a lot of people use the 3DS for a lot of different things. And again, I just used it for games. Let me know your thoughts on that one, because I'm probably in the minority here. However, and I say however here and I stand corrected, and I've already corrected myself. I'm just going to leave that previous bit in and not edit it out. But I stand corrected because I use my Steam Deck for like everything. So I can completely understand people using their Switch and Switch 2 for absolutely everything. I mean, I think the Steam Deck is fantastic. And I think if someone felt the exact same way about the Switch or the Switch 2, yeah, using it for everything makes a ton of sense. So don't worry about commenting on any of that stuff because I've already corrected myself. And speaking about friendly heads ups, next up here, you might be excited about this one. It's Fable 2 and Fable 2 Recompiled. So this post is over on Reddit Emulation. I wanted to bring attention to a Recompiled project currently in the works for Fable 2. The main dev has been making some significant headway on it recently, and a new one has recently joined, making some helpful discoveries. However, despite these promising developments and road bumps, it's still very early days yet. The project could really benefit from some more coders. If you're a Fable 2 fan with experience in reverse engineering or C++, please consider joining. Or if you know anyone who fits the bill, consider letting them know. If you're interested in this whole thing and wanted to learn more about it, again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below at the bottom. This is super neat. I'm very curious to see where the Fable 2 Recompiled project goes, and let me know your thoughts about it. And speaking about games and stuff to be excited about, next up we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons Neverwinter Nights 2 Enhanced Edition. Now, we've talked about the rumors about this game existing in previous videos, and now it's here. So it just popped up over on Steam. And it's priced, I would say, fairly reasonably here. In Canada, it's currently on for 10% off at $35. So I'm guessing like 25 bucks in the States. I could be wrong. Anyways, here it is up. It's got a release date of July 15th. And I don't see it having de novo or anything like that on it. So if you're excited about this one, I guess it includes all the expansions and everything. Next up, we're talking about hardware and the GPD MicroPC. And if you're a fan of one of these, if you're interested in one of them, you may want to check out the GPD MicroPC 2. So the original one released, I think, in 2021. And they've just revised it with better specs. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the price or release date just yet. I guess these are just early leaked specs. But it seems the one from 2021 had an Intel Celeron 4120, and they're going to an N250. Wattage on this one increases significantly. I mean, it's still not a lot, but it's a significant increase if you take a look at percentages. So it's going from 10 watts to 15 watts. The RAM is doubled from 8 gigs to 16 gigs. The storage seems to be a little faster. The screen is 1 inch bigger, and the weight is just slightly heavier, which makes sense given the increased components. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below if you have a micro PC and if you'd be interested in a micro PC too. And for more information on the matter, videocards.com has you covered. And speaking about small form factor PCs, next up, this is more just a heads up here. I'm going to be reviewing this computer in a very short period of time, and that's the GEEKOM Mini IT12. They sent me one for review here. It does feature an Intel i7 1280p processor, and it's the computer I'm currently using to film and record and edit this video. And looking at things here, it's priced at $529 US, and mine does have 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage. And so far, it's been performing very well. Now, it is worth noting here, the $529 price point on this one is for 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte. I've got half the RAM and half the storage. So the price on mine will be even cheaper. Anyways, here I've been impressed with this little thing so far, and I'm trying to drag stuff over without creating too much noise, but just to prove it to you, I've got everything plugged in, so if I move the camera, that would have been smarter. I'm just moving the tiny PC. But anyways, here it is on screen. It's been performing pretty well. Now for reference, this view is live from the task manager, and I've got everything up and running right now for my entire recording setup. And I'm not really using a whole lot of CPU power. My memory, I'm using a whole ton of RAM, and I usually go for 32, not 16 gigs, and you can kind of see why, especially running Windows. But at the same time here, I mean, this is impressive overall given its, I would say, lower specs. It's not necessarily a top-tier AAA gaming PC. But at the same time, to me, it's performing fairly admirably. So I guess stay tuned for a full review on this thing. And speaking about hardware, next up we're talking about I think this is a world's first. I'm curious to see how this actually is in real-world testing here. But there's a brand new monitor on the way that's running at 720 hertz. I guess it runs between 540 and 720. I'm curious to know if that's 720 at 1440p or if that has to go down to 1080p or exactly how that all works. But at the same time here, I mean, we're getting really close to 1,000. Unfortunately, I don't know the release date or price yet of this monitor, but if I had to guess, it would be more than the hertz it outputs. I could be wrong about that. Anyways, here it hasn't been officially unveiled just yet, just teased by SDC. And I am curious to see who gets their hands on this and who tests it out. And let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about monitors, next up here, we're talking about a product that has got a lot of people's attention, and now we've got the price. So we're talking about the Retroid dual screen add-on, and the price on this one, I would say, is extremely attractive. It's priced at $69. Nice. Now, originally, I thought this was going to be for specific Retroid devices, but that does not seem to be the case here. This seems to be more of a universal device. However, it is not compatible with the Steam Deck. Anyways, here you can get it in translucent white, black, or GC colors. And it is available for Retroid devices and other devices that are non-Retroid. So they say here this is a 5.5-inch AMOLED screen compatible with the Retroid Pocket Mini, Retroid Pocket Mini V2, Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, and Retroid Pocket 5. And other devices that include a 6-inch to 7-inch screen and DisplayPort support over USB-C. They say the maximum height is 115 millimeters and it's not compatible with the Steam Deck. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I mean, for $69, I think that may be attractive to a whole lot of people. And speaking about dual screens, next up we're talking about the Ayaneo Flip 1S DS. And Ayaneo has just unveiled this device as well as the specs. Taking a look at the processor in this one, and they're not messing around. It's got an AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX370. The main screen's a 7-inch screen at 1080p resolution and 144 Hz, and it is an OLED. The secondary screen is 4.5 inches at 1080p as well, and it's an LCD. It's got LPDDR5X memory. I don't know how much is in it. I'm going to guess 16 or 32. It's got storage here. Obviously, it's an SSD. I just don't know what's in it. And on top of that, it's got Hall effect triggers and TMR joysticks. This device seems to be a pretty premium device overall. Unfortunately, I don't know pricing just yet or release date. And speaking about handheld devices, next up we're talking about a brand new project here that Retro Game Core has pointed out. And Russ says, handy tool that creates standard emulation station style folders in any directory for easy pre-population of ROM files. For example, you could load up a MicroSD card while waiting for an Android-based device to arrive in the mail. The tool itself is called Emulist. It's 100% free. It's on GitHub, and if you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. And speaking about developing stuff, next up we're talking about PlayStation, and PlayStation seems to be making the Dualsense far more capable. This has not released just yet, but PlayStation says, want to pair your Dualsense controller to multiple devices at once. An update planned for later this year enhances the pairing functionality. Stay tuned for more details. I think that's going to be real nice for people who like those Dualsense controllers and want to be able to pair them on multiple devices at the same time, or at least not have to repair them every single frickin' time they want to use them on a different device. And speaking about stuff releasing, next up we're talking about the opposite stuff possibly not releasing anymore, and that is physical discs from Xbox. So it's being reported here, and this is just a rumor. We're going to have to wait and see if it actually comes true. But it's being reported that Microsoft seemingly no longer is selling physical discs for Xbox. So someone with a very keen eye pointed out something that's been garnering quite a bit of attention online. They say Microsoft might be doing away with physical copies because of all the games shown yesterday in their showcase. None of them appear to have a SKU with a disc at an online retailer like Best Buy. And that includes The Outer Worlds 2 and Ninja Gaiden 4. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I wouldn't be surprised to see Microsoft issue a statement about this in the future. Maybe they just don't. I think an all-digital future is kind of inevitable. I mean, I don't agree with it. I like physical games. I like having the entire game on a disc. But from a cost perspective, a manufacturing perspective, a distribution perspective, I think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of publishers just to use online only. And that's, I think, what we're going to be seeing here in the future. The future may be here sooner than we think. I mean, even if you take a look at the Switch 2 on loading times between the game card and something installed on the drive, there is a significant difference. I don't know here. I'm not going to try to open a can of worms. I'm going to stop myself there from going on a rant. It's just from a game preservation perspective and just from an offline play perspective, this kind of sucks. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. And if you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.